So
yeah, for me, like the big difference is I started producing and directing. I owned a 5,000 square foot studio downtown LA for almost 15 years. That was one of the top studios for shooting porn. And so I started like literally producing, I think when I was 23. I opened up the studio at that time and I was developing my own series. And at that time, and that's kind of how I got the name, the Pioneer of Pegging, was because I was the first woman to bring to film, woman or man, because at that time, the word pegging didn't even exist, right? It was just called female to male strap-on.
Okay.
And the only time you would really see that was like more in these like dungeon scenarios.
Yeah.
So I actually made it like a film, like a storyline.
A little more mainstream.
Yeah, like a lot more mainstream, right? And so so that's how I kind of got the title of like Pioneer of Pegging. Obviously, I didn't come up with it, but I was the first one to bring it to film, like in a storyline fashion. And so, so I started producing and directing, and I was really like, there was one, Candidata Royale was the only other one that I knew at that time that was producing and directing. There was a lot of other like female directors like Jane Hamilton that was shooting for like VCA at that time. But to be producing, directing, and then I was doing with the pegging series, I had to start doing my own distribution.
Yeah.
And I don't want to offend anybody. We're going to like go to the Wayback Time Machine. But this is, 90s.
Yeah.
And all the distribution was done by like these East Coast mafia motherfuckers. And they were like, what are we supposed to do with this? And I'm like, yo, that's not what it is. It's supposed to be like female empowerment. Of course, men would take it over later on. But at that time, I was pioneering something that didn't really have a market for it yet. And so I had to do distribution as well. And so that's what everybody is doing now. They're producing, directing, distributing, right? But back then, like I had to really fight to get a seat, to get like anybody to even talk to me because I was a female.
Yeah.
They were like, bitch, sit the fuck down and be cute, right? Like it was so fucking hard to even be seen or heard or to be taken seriously. Where now, if you don't produce, direct, and distribute, I mean, that's what a content creator is. Like you're not going to be successful at all. So I mean, like to me, that's the big difference is I had to fight to have my space.
Yeah.
Like where now it's expected. So it's a really big difference for someone like myself that came from like when you didn't even get an opportunity to really do it, like I was one of the only ones that was doing it, to like now you're expected to.
Well, and you also were able to see that transition of it being a solely male run and dominated industry to being something that's a little more probably just, I don't know if it's more egalitarian now or just the idea that because the power dynamic has shifted from producers, directors, companies to performers, that now it's like, you don't have to rely on them. You don't have to rely on people to give you work. You can do your own work if you want to.
Well, I've always done that.
Well,
that's why I started producing. But everybody else can do it too.
I mean, there's always an exception.
But going back to like what you were saying, it is very interesting to see exactly the power being taken back or being taken for the first time by the performers.
Yeah.
And to see that kind of dynamic like play out with the studios. They're not shooting in the way that they used to. Their production has been cut down drastically, which as a performer that's been around for a long time, also being that I am trying to actively work for all the different studios at this time, it's interesting because, now not only is there less studio work, but before I only had to compete with, other individuals within the porn community.
World. Yeah, now
it's every content creator from YouTube to OnlyFans TV to Instagram. Like everybody's a freaking spicy content creator across the world. And so the competition is much higher and the work is much smaller. And it's definitely more like difficult to navigate getting these bookings than it ever has been before. And, and it can kind of play some tricks on your mind.
I'm sure.
Because what's unfortunate for me is I can't but look through the lens of my own experience in life, right?
Of course, that's all we can do.
Yeah, and sometimes I'm like, bitch, this is like, can I pick up a different lens, right? Like, I need to look at this from a completely different lens because things do change like so much. But how old are you?
I'm 40.
40. Yeah. So, I mean, like, yeah, as you get older, like sometimes I wish I didn't have like these kind of perspectives, kind of the baggage that it brings with me, you know, because you see some of these young people that don't have any of that and they just like flourish because they got just this beautiful new fuzzy pink rose sunglass, right? Like a perspective. And I'm like,
It's like if you can, you know, you can start out on a platform like Twitch, just be cute enough and then, you know, play whatever video game, get a big enough following there.
Exactly.
Start an OnlyFans and then start making millions of dollars a year.
I'm like, do you know how much cock I've had to suck in my life? But this is not fair.
And that's I mean that's the unfortunate thing that I imagine. So I imagine I guess there are some, like, it is bittersweet in a way because you came from an industry that was very different and you could understand that back then.
Very hard.
You had to earn, you basically had to earn every inch that you got in that business.
Exactly.
All the success you had to earn by your blood, sweat, and tears.
Yes.
And now it just seems like, shoot,
let me get a fat ass and I'll be Instagram famous. It's like,
it's whatever. You do.
But you know what, though? At the end of the day, you know, I might have this extra baggage, but I also am very happy for those that don't have to work as hard as I did. Like, I'm, you know, go for you, girl. Like, that is a good thing. I'm happy that you don't have to work as hard or have like the same kind of, you know,
obstacles
challenges that I did. And, you know, and I'm always trying to find ways as an older biatch in the business that is kind of like a mama bear.
Well, that's what I was going to say. You're in a mentor role.
Yeah, exactly. You know, how can I, you know, I work with like Pineapple Supports and I do some seminars and different things like that. And I try to do like different podcasts that are about like business for other content creators. Yeah. And I probably see myself going in that direction. And even I was getting my nails done the other day and it was this beautiful young girl. I couldn't stop staring at her. I mean, she was that gorgeous. And I was like, girl, you know, what are you doing in your life? She's like, I'm moving to LA and I'm starting modeling. You know, Mama Bear could, you know, I spent like a half hour, you know, even though she's doing regular modeling, it's all the same shit. You know?
I was going to say, I'm sure that there's a lot of crossover in terms of the way.
Like dealing with agencies, dealing with parties, dealing with photographers. Like she got into a fight with the makeup artist and I was like, oh, don't ever get in a fight. I was like, you know what you do? I'm like, you don't ever get in a fight with the makeup artist because that makeup artist is probably sucking the dick of the photographer and they're besties. He's booking the makeup artist every day. The makeup artist is going to be like, that bitch is difficult. I'm like, you know what you do? You bring all your own makeup. You scoot into the bathroom. You fix it to make yourself comfortable. Don't tell anybody you changed anything. Yeah. And then you say, I loved your makeup. And she was like, really? I was like, yes, bitch. Yes. And so, I love providing. Even though that seems like kind of ridiculous, like that might really help her career from her like not getting blacklisted from the next 5 best photographers or whatever, you know? Like that's the kind of like experience that I love sharing. And she listened to everything. Like she was really, like sometimes, you know, I don't want to be that bitch that's like giving information, like soliciting, that's not wanting, nobody wants to hear it. Like I will hound bitches about like paying their taxes and like, you know, bookkeeping. I love that, but they don't like it all the time. But you know what? I kind of am kind of aggressive with that still because I've seen too many women in this industry go to jail over taxes and lose everything.
Wow, yeah.